The abandoned princess far away, in a galaxy full of stars and war, there was a planet called Velmora. It was a beautiful world, blue skies, silver trees, and flying creatures with rainbow wings. But beauty does not stop war. The people of Velmora were fighting for survival. A powerful enemy army attacked their cities one by one. The palace, the center of their world, was the final target. Inside that great palace lived a small alien princess named Zyra. She was only 8 years old. Her skin was soft blue, her eyes big and glowing, and she wore a silver dress with the royal symbol, a star and a feather. Her parents were the king and queen of Velmora, but even they were afraid now. One dark night, the palace shook with the sound of bombs. The sky turned red. Enemy ships flew above like shadows. Servants screamed, guards ran. The king and queen rushed to the escape ship. Zyra ran after them, holding her tiny bag of toys. "Wait for me," she cried, but the door of the ship closed. The small window, she saw her mother crying, her father turning his face away. And then, the ship took off, leaving her behind. They had no time. They had to save themselves. Even if it meant leaving their daughter. Zyra stood still in the middle of the palace floor. Silence fell around her. She was alone. Hours passed. Then days. Zyra hid in a broken room deep inside the palace. Dust covered her dress. Her crown had fallen somewhere, but she didn't care. She had no food. She drank old water from a cracked pipe. She cried softly every night, hugging a toy dragon from her bag. "Maybe someone will come back," she whispered to herself. But no one came. She tried turning on the palace radio. Static, no voice, no signal, no help. She went to the royal garden once. It was burned. Flowers had turned black. The air smelled like smoke and sadness. The once bright palace was now dark and dead. On the third night, Zyra sat near the broken window, her stomach hurt from hunger. Her eyes were heavy, but she couldn't sleep. She looked up at the sky. Stars blinked silently. Cold wind blew through the halls. Then she heard something. Breathing. Heavy, rough breathing. Zyra froze. She looked around. Nothing. Then again. Step, sniff, sniff. Something was in the hallway. Something big. Zyra quickly grabbed the metal pipe from the floor. Her hands shook. She moved slowly to a corner and waited. Her little heart was beating fast. The breathing came closer. Was it a wild animal? A robot soldier? A monster? Suddenly, from the darkness, 2 glowing eyes appeared. Zyra screamed. The creature stepped into the moonlight. It was covered in dirt, with metal parts on its leg and scars on its face. It had 4 legs, sharp teeth, and a strong body. It was a dog. But not an alien dog. It was a human dog. A big one, maybe part machine, part beast. It had a collar with some lights on it. Its ears twitched, and its eyes locked on Zyra. She raised the metal pipe, ready to fight. But the dog didn't attack. It sat down. And then it wagged its tail. Zyra blinked. She was confused. The dog stood up again, slowly, and dropped something on the floor in front of her. It was a small food pack from a human military kit. Zyra looked at it, then at the dog. "Are you giving this to me?" she asked, her voice soft. The dog made a small noise, like a friendly grunt. Zyra took the pack. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Real food. Soft, warm, human-made food. She hadn't eaten in days. Tears ran down her face as she took the first bite. The dog sat beside her, not asking for any food, not moving much, just watching her quietly like a silent guardian. That night, for the first time in many days, Zyra slept, curled up beside a dog she had never seen before. A creature from another world. In the early morning, she woke up. The dog was still there. And he had brought more food. Zyra smiled, just a little. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Thank you." She didn't know where he came from. She didn't know why he was helping her, but something in her heart told her this dog was different. He had not left her like the others. He was not afraid. He was not running. He had come for her, and maybe, just maybe, she wasn't truly alone anymore. The strange beast the morning on planet Velmora was cold and gray. The sun didn't shine the way it used to. Thick clouds covered the sky like a heavy blanket. The wind whispered through the broken palace halls, carrying the scent of dust and burned metal. Princess Zyra opened her eyes slowly. She was lying beside the strange creature from last night, the one with metal on his leg and battle scars across his body. A dog, but not like the soft pet animals from storybooks. This one was old and dangerous looking, but he had not hurt her. He had brought her food, and he had stayed. Zyra sat up quietly. The dog noticed her, lifted his head, and gave a slow wag of his tail. His eyes were sharp, yellow, and tired, but not cruel. He looked like he had seen many wars, fought many battles, lost many friends. Zyra whispered, "Who are you?" Of course, he didn't answer. He just stood up and stretched. One of his legs clicked as he moved. A metal part. Human tech. Not alien, not Velmoran. Earth technology. She looked closer. His collar had a small light on it, blinking faintly. A code number was burned into the side. HX-199, Companion Unit, Search and Rescue. Zyra didn't know what that meant, but one word stood out. Rescue. She followed him through the palace ruins. He walked with purpose, sniffing the air, scanning corners, ears twitching at every small sound. He was not just surviving, he was searching. Zyra ran to keep up. "Are you looking for someone? Or something?" The dog stopped. He looked back at her. Then, with a soft grunt, he nudged her arm with his nose. She froze. "Me?" she asked. He barked once. Not loud, just clear. Zyra's eyes widened. Was it possible? Had he come for her? They returned to the garden. The trees were ash. The fountain was dry. But the dog, she started calling him Max, sniffed the ground, then started digging at the base of a tree. Zyra watched. After a few minutes, Max pulled out something, a small emergency box. Inside was a packet of food, water, and a folded map. Old human supplies, maybe dropped during the war. Zyra's hands shook as she opened the water. Max sat near her, silent, like a soldier on guard. As she ate, she noticed something else. Max's eyes never stopped moving. He was always watching the shadows, always listening, like he had seen darkness before, like he was expecting it to come again. That night, Zyra made a bed of soft cloths under a broken archway. Max lay near the entrance, his body blocking the wind. He didn't sleep deeply. His ears twitched every few minutes. His nose sniffed the air again and again. He was always alert, protecting her. Zyra stared at the stars through a hole in the ceiling. "Max, why are you helping me?" Max looked back at her. Slowly, he moved closer and laid his head near her side. Zyra reached out, gently placing her hand on his fur. It was rough, but warm. In that small moment, something changed. Not in the palace, not in the sky, but in her heart. 3 days passed. Every day, Max brought her food, sometimes a packet, sometimes a strange fruit from the wild trees. He would vanish for hours and return with new items. Zyra never saw where he went. Sometimes he came back limping, with scratches on his side, but he always came back. He never left her alone for too long, and he never let danger near her. Then, on the 4th day, something strange happened. Zyra was sitting near the palace wall, watching Max eat. Suddenly, Max froze. His ears stood up. He growled low, deep in his throat. Zyra stood up, heart racing. "What is it?" Max stepped in front of her, his eyes locked on the sky. A distant rumble echoed across the ruins. She looked up and saw it. Ship. Not Velmoran, not human, enemy patrol. The ship flew low, scanning the ruins with red light beams, looking for survivors, or finishing what they started. Zira's breath caught. Max pushed her back into the hallway. He barked once, sharply. "Are you going to fight them?" she asked, voice shaking. Max looked back at her, and for the first time, she saw something terrifying in his eyes. Not fear, not hate, but determination. Like he had done this before. Like he was made for this. Zira backed into the shadows, hiding behind a wall. Max stepped out into the open, facing the sound of engines. He was ready. And Zira whispered, "Please come back." The dangerous planet, the skies above Velmora, were no longer quiet. They growled, they watched, and they hunted. The war was over. The enemy had won. But now they searched the ruins not for treasure, but for anything that had survived, even a little blue alien girl, even a half-broken earth dog. Inside the broken palace, Princess Zira waited in silence. Her back was against the cold wall. Dust floated in the air. Her small fingers gripped the edge of a stone tile, the only thing that felt real in the moment. Outside, the airship hovered, red lights sweeping side to side. It was looking for life signs, heartbeat signals. Zira didn't move. She didn't even breathe too loudly. But Max, the old battle dog, was already gone. He had stepped outside alone. Zira could only watch from a crack in the wall as Max slowly walked into the open courtyard, facing the enemy. He didn't bark. He didn't growl. He simply stood there, tall, still, and ready. The ship slowed. One of its side doors opened. A drone floated out, small, round, and deadly. It pointed its red scanner at Max. The light ran over his fur, his scars, his metal leg. Unknown unit, Earth tech, not registered. It moved closer. Zira's heart was beating fast now. She wanted to scream. Run, Max. But Max didn't run. He charged. In one sudden wild movement, Max leapt into the air, grabbing the drone by its base. Sparks flew, metal cracked. The drone dropped, shaking, and exploded on the ground. The ship reacted immediately. The side turret turned. Max turned too, but he wasn't fast enough this time. Boom. A flash of light hit the ground near him. Max was thrown across the courtyard, into a broken wall. Dust and fire filled the air. Zira screamed, "Max!" She didn't care about being seen. Now she ran outside, toward him, stumbling over broken stone and glass. Max lay on his side. Smoke rose from his body. His collar was flickering, the small light turning from blue to red. No. 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 Zira fell to her knees beside him. His eyes were half open. He gave a soft growl, almost like a warning. "Don't move," she whispered, tears on her face. "Just stay with me." But the ship wasn't finished. Another drone was coming, and this one had a weapon. Zira looked around, panicking. No place to hide, no help, no hope. Then she saw something, half buried under rubble, a metal box, human writing on it. Faded but still readable. "Emergency Override Unit, Type 9. She grabbed it, ran back to Max, attached the cable to his collar port. The box made a sharp beep. "Unit HX-199 detected. Rescue protocol activated." Uploading. Zira didn't understand what it meant, but Max's eyes suddenly widened. His legs moved. Low sound came from his chest, a growl that turned into a roar. And then he stood up. Max was not just a dog. He was a weapon, a rescue unit built by humans for war zones. He had forgotten who he was. Until now. His eyes lit up, golden, burning. The drone aimed. Max jumped. One bite, the drone shattered. The ship turned quickly, scanning again. But Max was gone, running, jumping, vanishing into smoke. The ship fired randomly. Then, as fast as it came, it pulled back and disappeared into the clouds. Gone. For now. Zira dropped to the ground, breathing hard. Max returned, limping slightly, his eyes dimming again. He sat next to her and nudged her gently. "I thought you were dead," she said softly. Max made a low sound. Not a bark, not a growl. Just a deep hum. It almost sounded like, not yet. That night, they stayed in the lower chambers of the palace. Deeper, safer, Zyra used cloth and herbs to clean Max's wounds. As she worked, she looked at his collar again. A new light was blinking now, green. A message played quietly. Location path unlocked. Human outpost minus 241 kilometers. Status, unknown. Her eyes widened. There were humans nearby. She looked at Max. You knew this? He blinked slowly. Zyra stood up, heart racing. I want to go there, but will you take me? Max didn't move for a moment. Then he stood, tall, strong, even in pain. And for the first time, he barked. Once. Clear. Loud. Yes. But the world outside the palace was not like before. The forests were dead. The cities were ruins. Strange creatures walked in the night, and the enemy patrols were increasing. This was not just a broken world. This was a dangerous planet. And for a little alien girl and her loyal Earth dog, the road ahead would not be easy, but they would walk it together. Max the protector. Stars above Velmora were silent witnesses. They watched as a little alien girl and a broken Earth dog began their journey across a world that no longer wanted them alive. Zyra had never left the palace before. Not alone. Not like this. She walked carefully through the dead forests and burned cities. She wore a cloak made from old curtains. Her hands held a small map screen taken from Max's collar. Max walked ahead. Focused. One ear always listening. One eye always scanning the shadows. He was more than a dog now. He was her guardian. 3 days into their journey, they reached the edge of a ruined city called Craven. It used to be full of lights, trade ships, alien music. Now it was full of silence and eyes hiding in the dark. Max stopped suddenly. Zyra knew what that meant. Danger. The buildings here were black and broken. Some had strange red marks on the walls. Enemy symbols. Warnings. They moved slowly, keeping close to the shadows. But then, a sound. Click, clack, hiss. Zyra turned. From behind a broken wall, a metal beast stepped forward. Its legs were long and sharp. Its body was cold and made of wires. Its face had no eyes, only a red circle in the center. A hunter drone. It scanned them instantly. Target. Alien royal lifeform detected. Neutralize. Zyra froze. Max did not. He charged. The drone fired a laser. Max dodged left, then right. He jumped onto the wall, pushed off, and landed on the drone's back. His teeth found the wires. He bit down hard. Sparks flew. The drone screamed in static. Zyra watched in shock as Max ripped the sensor from its head. The red light blinked and died. The drone fell. But Max didn't walk away clean. His side was burned. His front leg was cut. He limped back to Zyra and collapsed at her feet. No, 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 Zyra whispered, pulling him close. You're hurt, again. She tore cloth from her cloak and pressed it to the burn. Her hand shook. Max licked her fingers, just once, and then rested his head on her lap. That night, they hid inside an old subway tunnel. Zyra made a small fire using wires and batteries. Max didn't eat. He just lay there breathing slow. Guarding her even in sleep, Zyra stared at him. I don't understand. You're not from here. I'm just a lost alien girl. Why are you doing all this for me? Max opened one eye. He didn't speak. But he didn't need to. The next day, the real danger began. Enemy soldiers. Not drones. Real beings. They wore black suits. Their helmets glowed blue. They moved in packs. Scanning everything, Zyra and Max were spotted at the edge of the field. Run! Zyra shouted. They ran through the ruins. Blaster shots burned past them. A wall exploded beside them. Max pushed Zyra forward, shielding her with his body. They reached a broken building and hid inside. Zero was breathing fast. Max growled low. They were surrounded. One soldier shouted, "Surrender the royal. The dog will be destroyed." Zero stood, hands shaking. "I won't let you take him." The soldier raised his weapon, and Max moved. He slammed through the wall like a bullet, teeth bared, eyes glowing again with that strange fire. He took down one, then another. Zero grabbed a broken weapon from the ground. She fired. It missed, but it scared the enemy. Max kept fighting, even as lasers burned his back, even when he could barely stand. He was protecting her with everything he had left. When the last soldier fell, silence returned. Smoke filled the room. Max was on the ground again. Breathing. Alive. Barely. Wire and knelt beside him, crying, "You're going to die if you keep doing this." Max opened his eyes, and for the first time, a small hologram appeared. From his collar, a human face. HX-199 Protocol Log. Protect life. Especially young, especially innocent. That's what we were made for. Zero stared. He was following an old program, but something in his eyes told her this wasn't programming anymore. This was choice. That night, Zero didn't sleep. She sat beside Max, head on his side. And whispered, "I'll protect you two now, I promise." Outside, in the dark sky above Velmora, enemy ships moved again. They had detected something new, something strange, a signal, a mix of human code and alien royal ID. Something impossible, something dangerous, and they were coming. Human tech in secret. Past the air was dry, the world silent. After the battle in the ruined city, Zira and Max took shelter inside a long-buried bunker. The door had been hidden under sand and vines, as if the planet itself wanted to forget what was down there. But Max remembered. He had found it. He led Zira inside. And down below the broken surface of Velmora. She would learn who Max truly was. The hallway was cold and dark. Old lights flickered on the walls. Human lights long dead, but still trying to glow. Zira walked behind Max, holding her breath. "What is this place?" she asked softly. Max didn't answer, but his tail moved once. He remembered these halls. Once, a long time ago. He had walked them with a purpose. They entered a large chamber. It was covered in dust, rust, and silence. But at the center stood a terminal. Old Earth technology. Still alive. Barely. Max stepped forward. The collar on his neck blinked blue. The terminal woke up. A female voice echoed in the room, weak and glitchy. "Welcome, HX-199. Last access, 5 years, 3 months, 12 days ago. Mission status, incomplete." Zira stared. "You've been here before?" Max lowered his head. The terminal continued. "Rescue objective, alien royal child, priority, level 1. Protective bond required. Loyalty chip active." Zira felt something shift inside her. "Wait, you were sent here? For me?" Max looked at her. Not like a dog, not like a soldier, but like someone who had been waiting for this moment. For a long time. The screen on the terminal changed. It showed old footage. Ships falling from the sky. Cities burning. Human rescue pods landing on Velmora. And then, Max, clean, strong, wearing full armor, standing beside human soldiers. HX-199, codename Max, human engineered protector. Created for rescue missions in enemy territory. Zira's voice cracked. "You're not just a dog, you're a soldier. A guardian." She placed her hand on his head. "You were made to protect. But now, you choose to protect me." Max gave a low sound, almost like a sigh. A tired, loyal, unbreakable sound. Then something strange happened. The terminal screen glitche. Static. Then a new file popped up. Hidden. Locked. Max's collar beeped. Memory file unlocked. Zira watched as the screen turned white. and showed a younger version of herself. She was just a baby. Blue-skinned, laughing and holding Max's metal paw. Zira stepped back, confused. "What is this?" The voice on the terminal answered, HX-199. Bonded with royal child during first contact. Emotional link established. Guardian status became permanent. Zira's eyes filled with tears. "You've known me since I was a baby." Max moved closer and gently touched her with his nose. He had not just found her, he had remembered her, and returned for her. Suddenly, an alarm. Red lights blinked. Enemy signal detected. They were coming. Fast. The terminal spoke again. Evacuation path detected. Human outpost to 150 kilometers. Stealth route available. Zira turned to Max. "This is our chance." "But you're still hurt. Can you make it?" Max stood tall. Blood on his side. Scars on his legs. But his eyes said only one thing: "I'm not stopping now." Before they left, Zira noticed something strange at the corner of the room. A storage pod. Inside, old gear, wrapped in human cloth. She opened it. A small shield, lightweight, glowing. A translator chip for cross-species voice. And a metal tag. It read, "Max, Heart of Earth. Loyalty beyond code." Zira took the tag and tied it around his collar. "You're not just a protector," she said. "You're my family." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. Enemy flyers cut through the clouds. But below them, two figures moved through the shadows, silent, steady, determined. A little alien princess and a battle-scarred earth dog, walking toward a human base that may or may not exist, but walking with hope. With history. And with a bond that no war could break. Escape begins. The bunker door opened slowly. Air rushed in, hot, dry and full of ash. Above them, the sky was blood orange. The sun was choked by smoke. Strange flying beasts circled in the distance, and the ground cracked with heat. This was no longer the Velmora Zira remembered. This was a dying planet, but she was no longer hiding. She was escaping. Zyra tightened her cloak and looked at the path glowing on her map. Human outpost to 150 kilometers, signal weak. A blinking green line stretched through deserts, ruins, and empty wastelands. It was far. Too far for a child. Too dangerous for a wounded dog. But she wasn't just a child anymore, and Max was more than just a dog. They moved during the cold hours, just before dawn. The only time the sky wasn't boiling. Max walked ahead, slow but steady. His side was still bleeding, but his steps were firm. Every few miles, he stopped to listen, to smell the air. To protect, Zira followed in silence. Every time her legs trembled, she looked at Max's back, at the scars, the burns, the bullet marks, and found her strength again. By the second day, the desert began to change. The ground turned black, like glass. As if something had melted the land. This was a war zone, Zira whispered. She touched the ground, still warm. The wind carried a deep humming sound. Max stopped. His ears twitched. Zyra listened to. Then she saw it. Far ahead, rising from the earth, was a machine tower, half buried, still active, and surrounded by hunter mines. No way around? She asked. Max stared at it. Then began to walk forward. They moved slow, careful. Every wrong step could trigger an explosion. Zira followed Max's paws exactly, step for step. Then, a sharp sound. Click. Zyra gasped. She had stepped off by 1 inch. Red light blinked under her foot. Mine armed. She froze. "Max," she whispered. "I can't move." Max turned slowly. He understood. And then he did something she didn't expect. He walked away. Zira felt her heart break. Was he leaving her? But then, he disappeared into the ruins beside the field, and returned with a rock. Heavy one. He placed it on the ground, stared into her eyes, then kicked it. The rock flew across the minefield. landing far away with a loud thud. Every mine blinked and exploded. Boom. Dust and fire rose like a wall. Zira screamed, but when the smoke cleared, all the active mines were gone. She was safe. Max limped back through the smoke, breathing hard. Zira fell to her knees. You risked your life again. Why? Max's collar blinked once. Then played a voice. Because your life is worth more than mine. They rested in an old human dropship that night. Zira opened a food pack. She shared it with Max. I don't know what we'll find at this outpost, she said, voice quiet. Maybe nothing, maybe no one. Max looked up at her. Then gently rested his head in her lap. Zira looked at the stars through the broken ship. Glass, I just want one person to care. One human to say we're not alone. The next morning, the map flashed, 50 kilometers remaining. Signal strength, weak but stable. Excitement grew in her chest. It thought they were close. Too close to stop now, but the enemy knew too. Drone had picked up the strange signal. An unregistered Earth tech unit, moving with a Velmoran Royal. The message went straight to a commander. He looked at the screen and gave one order. Destroy both, no survivors. Send the intercept team. Zira and Max reached a high cliff just before sunset. Below it, spread a green valley. Trees. Buildings. A radio tower. The human outpost. Zira gasped. She took Max's paw. We're here. But Max wasn't looking at the valley. He was looking behind them. The sound came next. Engines. 3 black. Ships. Incoming. Zyra turned, horror in her eyes. They followed us. Max stood in front of her. No growl. No bark. Just silence. Then one step forward. Then two. His eyes glowed again. Zira shouted, No, not this time. We go together. She raised her map device, and it began to broadcast. A signal shot out across the sky. A beacon. Far below, in the human outpost, a soldier saw it. He zoomed in. A blue-skinned girl. A half-destroyed Earth unit. Running for their lives. He grabbed his weapon, slammed the alarm, and shouted, Sir, you need to see this. We have a survivor. And she's not alone. Humanity returns. The sun was falling behind the mountains of Velmora. Orange fire lit the sky. But it wasn't just the sunset that burned now. It was 3 enemy ships roaring down from the clouds, ready to finish the hunt. Zyra held her breath, standing at the edge of a cliff. Below her, the human outpost blinked like a tiny island of hope. She had almost made it. But death had arrived first. Behind her, the ships hovered, weapons glowing. Max stood in front of her, body weak, one leg shaking. But he did not move. Aside, he was not going to let them pass. Not without a fight. Zyra reached for him. Max, please, we can jump. We can find a way down. We can. He looked back at her. And she understood. There was no time. No escape. Unless someone stayed behind. Max turned toward the ships, standing tall, his collar blinking faster than ever. It was activating. Inside the human base, alarms blared. Soldiers gathered at the landing deck. One commander stood at the control station, watching the live feed. A young blue-skinned girl. An Earth dog. A war veteran. A survivor. Is that one of ours? The commander whispered. Another officer shouted, Sir, that's an HX-199 unit. Combat rescue class, Earth-built. And that girl, she matches the lost Velmoran royal profile. The commander stared at the screen. Max looked directly at the drone camera. As if he was staring into their eyes. Then, Max charged. Not away, toward the ships. The enemy fired. Red lasers tore through the cliff. Dust and fire exploded. Zyra screamed, Max! But he kept going. With each step, his collar glowed brighter. The enemy ship's scanners panicked. Unstable tech signature. Unknown energy spike. Abort. Abort. Too late. Max leapt into the air and exploded with light. A shockwave of blue Energy burst out. It hit the ships like a wall of thunder. The first two crashed instantly, spinning out of control. The third lost power and spiraled away, vanishing into the canyon. Silence fell, and in the sky, only smoke remained. Zyra dropped to her knees. The dust cleared slowly. The ground where Max had stood was empty. Only his metal tag remained, still glowing faintly. She crawled forward, picked it up with trembling fingers. Tears fell. He had saved her. He had always saved her, even at the end. A rumble shook the earth. It was not an attack. It was a ship. A real one, descending. A human drop shuttle. Zyra looked up as it landed nearby. Soldiers jumped out. One of them, a woman with gray armor and kind eyes, rushed toward her. "Are you hurt? Are you alone?" Zyra tried to speak, but no words came. She just held up the glowing tag. The soldier froze. Her face changed. "You knew Max?" she whispered. Zyra nodded. "He was everything." The soldier knelt down, gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "He was the best of us." Inside the base, Zyra was wrapped in warmth, fed, healed. For the first time in her life, humans surrounded her. Not as enemies, not as threats, but as family. She told them her name, told them the story. They listened in silence. When she finished, the commander stood. "We owe Max more than we can ever repay." Then he turned to her. "But now, we owe you too." A week passed. Zyra stood outside the base, wind blowing softly through her white cloak. The sky was peaceful. She opened a small box. Inside it, Max's tag. She tied it to her wrist. "He's not gone," she whispered. "He's part of me now." And then she looked up. At the stars. At the future. At the sky Max had cleared for her.